part two of my double feature review of last night's operas. And let's go to Leoncavallo I Pagliacci and what I thought about the production, costumes, singing, and overall conducting and chorus done by Matteo Hamori. So the production of this Pagliacci starts off with a blank stage with a lot of these figures on a table with props. And once the overture really comes to a forte and before Tonio's Si può, si può, we see Tonio come alive and don this magician's cape as if though he was to suggest that he is the ringmaster of this entire affair and this entire story. He's the one that makes these characters come alive, and this is his side of the story of how he sees all of these horrible events and really, really scandalous events happening in Pagliacci. So we see that they're not just toys or his toys, but we see that the one in red is Canio, the one in light blue is Neda, who also plays Colombina, and Canio plays the Pagliaccio of the title. And then we see Beppe also coming alive in his formal attire, who also plays the Harlequin. He comes alive, and then we are treated to a very sunny, very, very urban Italy, which I definitely had to say was a step up to what I thought about the production done by Cavalleria. It is a lot sunnier, it is a lot brighter, and even though it does have that sense of foreboding, I have to say it was definitely a step up. Kudos has to go to the stage scene in which we see Harlequin, Colombina, Pagliaccio, and Taddeo on the stage, and they wear a lot of these really colorful costumes. I really love Neda's or Colombina's costume, as she looked like a darling in that. Not to mention, Neda spends the first half of the stage looking like a vaudeville showgirl, which I definitely have to say was rather appropriate because she has to look pretty on stage, not just on stage, but also outside the stage every single time. And it's sort of also believable because she's mainly a young woman who wants a lot of freedom in her life, and to always have herself being dolled up on stage every single time just causes her to feel this bored in her life. So I really have to say that the production of this particular I Pagliacci and the costumes were definitely a step up to what I thought about Mascagni's Cavalleros de Cana. It's very well done, and it does heighten that sense of foreboding, at the same time has that sense of color all throughout the stage and all throughout the evening. And then we get to the singers. Once again, singing Canio was Attila Fekete. And he really played up Canio very well. He was able to play up Canio's neuroticism and overall overbearing manner, and you could really buy him as this biting, searing madman who also has a lot of issues inside him, and he just really won me over again. Like I said before with his Radames Enturidu, he has a very fine squillo, and his high notes were excellent, and his timbre is very homogeneous all throughout. So bravo to you once again, Monsieur Fekete. Then we have the role of his young wife, Neda, sung by the veteran Hungarian light lyric soprano, Andrea Rost. Now, Andrea Rost has been a soprano that I have been following for many years. She has sung a huge array of roles, from the coloratura roles of Rosina from Barbiere, Gilda from Rigoletto, Oscar from Ballo in Maschera, Lucia from Lucia della Marmor, Amina from Sonambula, Giulietta from I Capuletti e Montechi, to the more lyrical roles of Antonia from Le Comte Hoffmann, Juliette from Romeo et Juliette by Gounod, and even to the more spinto roles as of late, like Desdemona from Otello, and even Mimi from La Boheme. She has led a very exciting career since the late 80s, early 90s, and has established herself internationally as a very fine interpreter of a huge array of roles. And with her as Neda, she was no exception. She has a very crystalline quality to her voice. And the fact that she has maintained that gorgeous, crystalline, sparkling, brilliant quality to her voice is a true testament of how she was able to sing throughout the evening and how she was able to maintain that throughout her career. That's quite a feat. And not a lot of sopranos could even accomplish that type of feat. And with Andrea Rost, who accomplished that for many years, she was definitely a standout as Neda. She really sang her part very well, making her a very strong and very much a person that may not be too likable, but someone who just wants a lot of freedom in her life. And she really won me over as Neda. Then we have the role of Tonio, once again sung by Alexandru Agache. Once again, he has a very piercing and very robust timbre to his voice, and he was able to make Tonio a very dastardly character with his maniacal laughs, his glowering gazes, and his overall presence on stage, which makes you want to hate him, but you can't help but like him. He definitely makes Tonio a very slimy and very sleazy character, which makes my skin crawl every time he's on stage. And I love it. I love the hell out of Alexandru Agache's performance as Tonio. He was able to just win me over as this very sleazy and very slimy character, and I love every moment of it. And then we have the role of Pepe, sung by Peter Balsho, who has a very fine lyric timbre combined with that hint of character tenor timbre, which is very evident in his serenade O Colombina. I thought he sang it very well. I thought he acted the part very well. And what's also interesting about his costume was that in traditional harlequin costumes, he's supposed to look very colorful and very much like a feisty trickster. Here, he has this macho man muscle suit, and I thought that was rather interesting. I thought it was basically playing up the hunky male lead rather interestingly, and it looked rather fetching on him. Even though it looked rather odd, it looked oddly fetching on him. And with Peter Balsho, he does a very fine job as Beppe, which is an extremely thankless part for any secondary tenor because you have that one little aria and you basically spend the entire opera usually being in the ensemble and nothing more. So with Peter Balsho, he was able to make the best out of this wonderfully thankless character. Then we have the role of Neda's lover Silvio, sung by Sultan Nagi. He does a very fine job as Silvio. First of all, his timbre is gorgeous. His manner on stage is thrilling. And his overall portrayal of Silvio was very well done, making Silvio a very charming and very elegant young man who just wants Neda to know that he loves her all throughout. So overall, the singing, as to be expected, was top tier. Special kudos has to go to Attile Fekete and Alexandru Agache for singing both of their leads very well. I mean, it's not an easy job singing both Turidu and Canyo and Alfio and Tonio in one evening. And the fact that these two guys managed to really pull it off rather well is just so well done. Of course, there were a lot of other tenors and baritones who have also pulled off this type of feat, like remember Placido Domingo and how he sang both Turidu and Canyo. Not an easy job to do. So to really have these two singers really pull it off throughout the evening and really play these two different characters was excellently done. And what more can I say about the conducting done by Mate Hamori? It's excellent. It's really full of fire and passion, and the chorus, I thought they were just very well done as to be expected. So overall, with these two operas, they were just very well done in singing and just the execution of the conducting and just the execution of everything else that has to be offered. And I have to say that my Easter was very well spent thanks to these two operas. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to tune in on Thursday where I review the ballet gala. So until then, happy Easter, everybody.